2000.
And the thing about it is, it does redeem itself at the end by having James the cameraman die. That's a true point of redemption in that film. James the cameraman from Extinction. We've been talking about it for 24 hours. We're still on the topic.
Extinction?
Yes, the film we watched one day ago.
We're still talking about
it. It redeems itself at the end by having James the cameraman.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, he dies, but then it instantly takes that redemption away from him.
Yes, I agree.
By having her care about him.
It was great that they killed that character off, but not great that she suddenly turned around and liked him.
Fine.
Yeah?
All right.
Right, is that that's the last point? I'm putting a pin in it now.
No need to get shirty. What can we do? I think we need a distraction. Black Saction?
Yes! Okay.
It's your turn to pick.
Okay, let's just wipe the slate clean.
Let's wipe the slate clean.
Right, I never want to talk about Extinction again.
Clean the slate.
In we go.
Clean that slate.
I'll clean the slate.
Rustle around in there.
I got one.
Oh,
here we go.
Here we go.
With friends like these.
Who needs friends like him when we have friends like these? Oh,
okay,
I'm excited. I'm more excited than I was after I came out of Extinction, which was absolutely terrible. Oh God! Is
This is gonna be shit.
Is it a zombies film? I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either.
It is literally called With Friends Like These with ellipses. Look.
Yeah.
Can I read the back?
Let's go watch it. Okay, so I don't even know. I honestly have no idea what to say about this movie.
I can say one thing.
Right.
It was better than Extinction.
Yeah, it was definitely more interesting than Extinction, but that is a sliver more.
Yeah.
So this is an anthology film. There's 3 little mini stories, and they're all connected via a bus that has all people sitting on it, and they're driving around a city, and then there's this narration right at the beginning. I think
you're putting too much emphasis on the bus, because they aren't driving. There's just shots on a bus. These 3 people happen to get the bus.
Yeah, the same bus.
But that's where the similarity between the 3 stories.
Well, I was getting to that. They get before each there's 3 mini stories in this film, and before each one starts, they get off the bus, stand off the bus, get blown by a smoke machine in the dark, and there's like leaves flying past and stuff like that. And the narration is talking about human relationships and how complicated people are going this way, they're going that way.
Relationships, the ties that bind people together, are what keeps us moving in the same direction.
Their relationships are complicated, and here we are on a bus.
Yeah.
Here's a character.
Strangers.
Here's a character getting off the bus. Oh, what is this mysterious black environment they've got into? Let's just never mention it again.
Yeah, they never explain why when they get off the bus there's they're entering like a nightmare world. But the thing is, right, before we get into the nitty gritty details of each individual anthology film, the whole point of this bus that is linking them, which is said in the blurb on the back, it says, on a crowded bus, 3 people sit patiently waiting for their stops, unaware that they are about to have extraordinary experiences. That's saying that happens while they're getting off the bus. As soon as they get off the bus, they enter these weird worlds, right?
Yeah.
That they enter.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, I think someone watched Twilight Zone.
Yeah, definitely.
Wanted to make their own version of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And failed miserably.
And they were like, how can we link 3 stories together and
with a narration.
With narration, but make them all in the same thing? So I bet somebody in the office where they were on it went,
maybe we could just, write 3 short films and put them on a DVD as like an anthology.
And then somebody went, don't be so silly. No, we need to connect them all, maybe by a random bus journey.
Well, it had 5 writers according to what's written on the back. So
yeah, that was
each.
Yeah,
there was one for each anthology film, and then 2 for the bus sequence.
Yeah, they didn't need the bus sequence at all.
So okay, let's.
Do you know what they could have done? They could have literally just gone, people are walking around their daily lives. People are going this way, people are going that way, which is...
There you go.
There you go. Oh, here's someone going somewhere. What's their story? And then when their story ended, they could go, and here's another person going somewhere. What's their story?
Yeah.
But, here's someone now on a bus. What's their story?
Well, it's because the anthology films don't go anywhere. That's like what you're getting to. Is the point they could have been focusing on anyone because the stories, although they start with an interesting premise, each of them in a way.
Plot number one.
Well, I was just going to say, even though they start with like an interesting premise, they all end on nothing. Like literally, absolutely no ending to each of them. Plot number one: a guy is having trouble getting his car to start for his girlfriend to get to work.
No, his girlfriend can get to work already.
Oh, she can take the bus.
Yeah.
Right. Or public transport, but he wants her to take the car. He's trying to fix it and it fails. So he goes to a second-hand car dealership and he's walking around, and then out of nowhere, he's like trying to make a deal with a car he doesn't really want, and looks like he's about to leave, and then he hears a voice coming from under a tarp.
I say, you don't believe all that rubbish, do you? Well, turn around and answer me, boy. Don't just stand there like a Greek statue.
And there is a car under there, this red old MG like old car,
yeah,
like not a hot rod, but hot rod red colour, and it talks to him. Like this car is talking to him, like asking him, "You should buy me. I'll make your dreams come true." Blah blah blah.
It's pretty much you pretty much understand the voice with them.
With me on your side, your dreams can come true. I can help you, Alex, but you must be willing to pay a price, and I don't come cheap.
Spend all of the savings that you and your girlfriend have been waiting years and years to accrue on me.
And then you think, so what you're thinking at this point is the car doesn't like the girlfriend. She wants to get a house. The car just wants him to drive him around, be his driver. Yeah. How long do I have to search for a driver?
My perfect driver.
Is my perfect driver out there? Anyway, point is, you think the car's going to kill the girlfriend, or he's going to kill him, the car's going to kill the guy. No, the ending is basically, the car says, get in, drive me around, Dave, and corrupts him. He says yes. Yeah. Then he picks up a prostitute.
Well, I mean, that was never set up that she was a prostitute. It was just a woman.
She was stood on a street corner, and then he walks up and winks her or like nods.
No, he drives up and nods. She gets in and she goes,
"So, what's your name?"
Bags.
There's nothing. It's like in the middle. They don't ever say that she's a prostitute, but also it's very implied that that's what she's meant to be.
Can we just backtrack slightly?
Wait. I was just going to quickly say that. Yeah. The car doesn't kill the girlfriend; it just drives off. Yeah. With him driving, corrupts him. Then he picks up the prostitute. The car. He starts driving really fast. She says stop. Then
some other guy beats him up. No, he almost hit a car.
The car almost drives into another car, but doesn't. It's like plays chicken with it.
Yeah.
And then he gets out of the car, and the guy fights. The girl runs away. Yeah. And then he gets back in his hot car. Then the car goes, "Screw you!" He jumps out, and then the car drives away, and that's the end. It's like the car doesn't kill anyone. The car just says, "I'm looking for the driver." The car scares the main character, but he stays alive. He's walking off into the sunset at the end.
Not sure there's a lesson been learned. And at the end, the car drives back up, and there's a woman in it, and we weren't quite sure whether it was his girlfriend or not because we couldn't tell.
But that's literally the plot. Like nothing.
So at one point, as they're driving past quite a nice house in the countryside, the car stops and says, "Why have we stopped here?" And then the house is for sale. And they're like, his girlfriend's dreams was to like buy a house and like live in a nice place. And they can afford it according to the script. All reasonable dreams. And the car's like, "No, you can't have this. I hate cows. We're next to cows."
Alex, why on earth are we stopping here?
I saw you putting up the sign. Could we take a look inside?
Yeah, sure thing.
If he thinks I'm going to live in the middle of this stinking cow pasture, he's got another think coming.
It's just like,
he doesn't want to live next to this like.
Well, I'm sure they've got a garage. Like, mate, calm down. And Jack and I looking at it, and the music, the style of the car, and pretty much some of the style of the shooting. It was like we were watching an episode of Brum.
those of you who don't know, Brum was like a kids' TV show on UK television. I don't know if it played anywhere else, but it had a car.
I think it might have been French, you know.
Might have been French. Yeah. It was like, but the car was like alive.
Yeah.
Had little light up eyes as the lights.
Yeah, but you could see that they were like lights and eyes at the same time.
Yeah, and it went on these little misadventures, but it had the same sort of music, same sort of thing. It was like Brum had grown up and got mad, but didn't do anything.
Beelzebrum.
Beelzebrum. That's what this car is.
So that's what this film's called. That first film was called Beelzebrum.
Yeah, we're going to call it that.
Beelzebrum, right?
What was this part of the second? Go on.
So there's a man living by himself in squalor. He's filthy. He never cleans up after himself. He leaves food out and throws beer cans around. He sleeps on a bed which is piled with his own dirty clothes. This is, as far as we're aware, this was set in either the USA or Canada, and the landlord of this particular establishment is British. The car was British, as well.
Yeah,
British accent. So this man, the landlord, comes to the flat and says, "You've got to tidy up your act, or I'm kicking you out. Give me rent and clean up by tomorrow."
I are in need of a good hosing down.
That's it, mister. You are out. Find yourself another pigsty.
So then the man who lives there goes back to the fridge, looks at how horribly disgusting it is, because it did look rank. They really hand that up though. Like, not only was the inside of the fridge completely grey, the outside was like
they'd really made
they really made it up.
Really made it look like a disgusting place.
And so the main character then puts his hand in some of the mould at the bottom of the fridge, takes it, sniffs it, and says, "Oh, it's horrible." Then goes to sleep,
as you do.
And then in the middle of the night, you see these two shelves. The door opens slightly of the fridge, and then these two shelves pop out. Then in the morning, he goes to look in the fridge, and there's half of a person in there.
Finished with the juice yet?
And this person has grown out of the mould. So the torso of a person grown out of the mould. They're covered in like this latex suit that looks like mould, and they're hyper intelligent about anything to do with mould. There's literally like a 15-minute section where this mould man just starts talking about mould, and that's all he's talking about.
Explaining how he eats mouldy food, how
all the different bacteria and mould in the fridge banded together.
Yeah, how he looks up a city of organisms,
and how he was waiting for something to sort of catalyse him growing, and it turns out that was the guy putting his hand in it gave them the DNA. So it was like, what was it? At one point he goes, "There's no cigar. Well, I haven't got a cigar for you to smoke, but I'm your clone."
Look at me, Frank. Look into my eyes. What do you see?
My reflection?
I duplicated your features when you touched me last night. Granted, it's not a perfect resemblance, but then again, I didn't have much to work with. Nevertheless, I'm your clone, Frank. I'd offer you a cigar, but I don't smoke.
It lives in his fridge for a while.
It lives in his fridge for a while. The guy has a girl come round. She's a bit of an asshole. So the fridge person's like, "Oh, get rid of her." Nothing happens with that.
It's a similar theme to the first. First.
Then the landlord comes back, snoops around the apartment while Frank, his name is, the guy who lives there. The landlord comes around when Frank is gone out to work, snoops around, opens the fridge. The mould man begins to strangle him, but then the old man dies of a heart attack. Then Frank gets home, says, "What have you done?" And the guy's like, "Well, I didn't kill him because I was strangling him, but then he had a heart attack." And then there's a little struggle while Frank realises, actually, this guy is probably not good for me. And then he unplugs the fridge, which is a problem for the mould guy.
Yeah, because he says he needs the cold, doesn't he?
Yeah. And then that's it. And then the next shot is him making a really nice dinner for another woman in a really, really clean, nice flat. And he's learned his lesson. So the lesson there is don't be untidy,
dirty,
don't be messy. Can I point two things out about this one?
Yeah. I was just trying to compile my thoughts
Frank-
about the idea of a guy whose mould in his fridge came alive.
Well, this is the thing. That's an insane concept, right? And,
By the way, this is him.
Yeah, that's him.
That's him on the cover. That's
not.
the mould guy.
So what's insane is Frank instantly becomes the best friend of this mould creature.
Yeah, he's not frightened or anything.
Not
about
frightened. He's just like, oh hello, what can I need to keep you alive. Oh, sorry, pardon me. Oh, there's a really it's really really funny. Frank comes in to the apartment. He sees the fridge really wobbling, and do you know what I thought? Do you know what I thought?
You made a crack about him masturbating.
I made a crack about the thing masturbating, and I thought, no, in all reality, that like this mole creature's probably growing, and it's going to have legs, and it's going to escape and stuff like that.
You gave too much credit.
I gave the film too much credit because he opens the fridge and the mole person has got like an adult book.
Don't you ever knock?
Yeah.
But how? Because it doesn't have anything below here.
I think that was just a joke. It was a joke they didn't think too much about.
And the same writer went,
I think we probably shouldn't put that joke in there.
And then the lady writer was like, no, it's a hilarious joke, just put it in.
Yeah. I imagine the director sounding and talking a little bit like the car in the first anthology film.
Yeah, or Beelzebrum.
Yeah, Beelzebrum. So to cut a long story long.
Yeah.
Yeah. First anthology film, a car threatens to do all these evil things.
If the guy doesn't
drive him around. But then when the guy refuses, he basically, the car drives off. That's the end. Yeah. That's literally the end. The car does nothing.
No lesson learned.
No lesson learned. Second one.
So hang on. That guy was on a bus originally.
Yep.
Right. Second
guy gets off the bus. He enters the nightmare world. We fade to him in slobby old flat. Grows mold man in his fridge. Mold man threatens to do some horrible stuff, but he unplugs the fridge, killing mold man, and then he's a clean cut, nice person in a new place and doesn't want to keep moldy food in the fridge anymore.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Third story. Lady works in a dress drying. Well, I guess it's like a drying thing. Or
no, I think they make them.
They make them, I guess.
They're
like
designers. They're designers, I think.
Yeah, so they're working in like a dress or a suit shop or whatever, and her and her friend are talking about how she wants to go on a date with the perfect guy. She goes to this place who can, via a computer, analyse...
Perfect match, as it's called.
Yeah, like match her to the perfect
dating
guy.
Service.
Dating service. They say, this guy is perfect for you. They find him on file after the computer has to think about it. As you pointed out, it takes ages for the results to come through, which is not how
it's just funny because the guy leans over his shoulder and all it is it says customer name, and then it's her name, and then it says match name, and then as you're looking at that, the guy goes, here it comes.
Don't worry. Here at Perfect Match Incorporated, we've helped thousands of people like you. We'll find exactly who you're looking for. Ah, here comes his name and file number.
And then this name goes, how did he know?
Here it comes. But anyway, so she orders this guy, and as soon as this guy turns up, he starts talking. He was like, he's a robot. And he's a robot.
He's a robot. Well, that's the moral of the story.
That is, because they go back and forth. She's arguing with him because he's too perfect at bowling. He knows loads of facts about everything that she says. He knows everything about her.
She can't surprise him.
She can't surprise him, but she wants to know more about him, but he's being really elusive. And then she screams, knocks his arm off by accident, reveals that he's a robot, screams the end. The film then ends with the voiceover saying relationships are complicated, and then
it just said something like relationships, and then the DVD cut out.
The DVD, I have to admit, started jittering at the end. Started pausing and skipping bits of the film. Only the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There wasn't much left.
It was just a struggle.
And I looked at the disc and it looked completely fine on the back. No scratches or anything like that. No fingerprints.
There's nothing on it.
Nothing on it. So we thought we'll give up there because we
know the moral of the story. The moral of the story is she had the perfect person robot who she would she could live with, and instantly after their second date, she was completely ungrateful for everything that he did.
Well, it's also that he wasn't real, and that was throwing her off. Because like it's like it's the Matrix thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the, do you want to stay in the Matrix and eat the steak that you know is not real, or do you want to live in the real world and actually
not eat steak at all?
So that lesson would have been fine, but they didn't end it there. They ended it on her revealing that he was a robot.
Yeah.
And then her screaming, and then that was the end.
That was the end.
As far as we could tell, there was nothing.
So there's no lessons learned. So no lesson. Sort of a lesson learned to be a bit more tidy, but that's just what you do as an adult.
Yeah.
And then no lesson learned.
Yeah.
So there's no lessons learned.
So don't spend all your money on hot rod cars.
Yeah.
Don't live in filth. And
don't use dating sites.
And don't have a robot boyfriend.
Yeah, don't have a robot boyfriend. Now, I think my biggest problem with this is what we said at the start. The bus connects nothing.
The bus is on the menu.
Yeah.
First thing you see is a bus. The bus is on the back of the DVD. Like this. When I saw this on the side, I literally thought this is going to be a zombie film. Just judging by that cover, this is a zombie film.
Yeah.
It must be. I read the back and I remember thinking it's going to be like, you know, the experiences, they're on a bus and the zombies take something like that, right? You never judge a book by its cover, as they say. I shouldn't have judged it as a zombie film, but I
disagree. I disagree on that.
What do you mean?
I massively disagree on that, because we now have the technology to make book covers amazing, like proper advertising.
Oh yeah, no, true. But what I'm saying is, I had these predetermined ideas of what this film was going to be.
Yeah.
And I admittedly, I kind of settled in on them. I thought this is going to be a zombie film. Look at that cover. He's going like this, like that. Never in my life would I have gone, this is a mould guy who grew in a guy's fridge.
I think you'd have got there eventually, after you'd thought of everything else that could possibly have existed.
But like before the film started, you were like, I doubt. I said it's a zombie. I said that, and you went, I don't know. It could be an old lady. It could be like like The Shining, like a moldy old lady. It could be like someone burnt or something like that. Yeah. But we were both wrong. It was a
man made of mould in a dirty fridge.
Exactly. There's really not too much to say about it other than that.
No, because there wasn't anything that happened.
No, it was competently filmed.
Yeah.
As in, like, you can tell what's going on. It's not like the bloody Extinction.
Yeah.
How that was filmed. The acting wasn't the best, but better than Extinction. And it was more interesting. The first half of each mini, less so the third one, but the first sort of half of each segment was where it was really interesting, because as soon as that car started talking, you and I looked at each other and went, wait a second, like, we're watching a film about a guy whose car's talking. That was
the best moment of the film, when that car started talking.
That was just
like
the first sentence out of left field.
The first sentence you were like, and then the second sentence you're like, oh my god, it is the car.
Yeah, the car is talking.
Was it Beelzebrum is on his way.
But like, there's not much else to talk about. It was like slightly interesting, then just dissolved. Second one, interesting, dissolved. Third one, pretty much was dissolved throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that interesting. It literally dissolved towards the end when the DVD started going. So, before we get onto the rating of the whole film, what would you say was the best one of the three?
God, that's difficult. They are almost.
I have my choice.
They're almost on par, but I think the first one, just because it was more hilarious because of the car.
Yeah.
And every time I watched it, I was just imagining it was Brum.
Yeah, that was my choice.
Brum has grown up.
Yeah.
He's left Europe, had a spray, and he's found his way to North America, and he's wreaking havoc.
He had his eyes replaced.
Yeah, he's wreaking havoc.
Yeah, the second one was close, just because I thought it was hilarious, just the concept. But I'd already been sort of shaken by the concept of the car talking in the first one, so the kind of novelty. I reckon if they'd have switched, we'd have been saying The Mold Guys.
Yeah, maybe
the better movie, but they're not in that order, so the car wins out, because there was just that feeling and that reaction of when the car started talking. You and I like, oh my god, this is nothing like what we were expecting it to be. So but how many? What can we say?
I'm going to say, how many Aesop's Fables are we going to give it out of 10?
Aesop's Fables.
Because it was trying to do like an Aesop's Fables thing, except completely missed any sort of fable point. So I think that's an ironic score.
I was going to say, like, how many untold bus journeys?
Oh no, how many number 19s are we going to give this out of? I know we did numbers last time. Yeah, how many bus journeys are we going to give this out of 10? I'd say 3.
You give it a 3.
Well, there's 3 films in it. And remember, 5 is average.
I'm probably going to go 2.5. I'm going to be really pissy about this.
All right, fine, 2.5. Fine.
Because I can't give it a solid number because I don't think it deserves it because each part was half interesting and then just died off.
Do we need to make the scale out of 20 or 100?
No, we'll do it 10.
Okay, fine. 10 but with halves.
Yeah, 10 with halves. So you gave it 3, I gave it 2.5. So we'll go 2.75.
2.75.
There you go. Any final thoughts before I blast out into space?
I loved Brum.
Yeah.
Brum was great.
Okay. Well, do you think I should not blast it?
No, blast it.
Blast it, alright. Yeah.
The DVD doesn't even work.
yeah, it's broken. Yep, so that's blasted into space, long gone. Goodbye, good riddance to friends like these. What a kind of non-movie, much like Extinction, but slightly better than Extinction, don't you think?
Well, do you know what? They're both extinct now.
Extinction, yeah.
I don't get me started on Extinction. Because none of the characters in that film were likeable whatsoever. The most likeable guy was the Scorpion.
The Scorpion was the most likeable guy in Extinction.
In Extinction, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. See, I thought it was the crocodile that they met for like a brief second.
Yeah. What, when they saw the raptors go past and then never ever brought the raptors back into it because they just couldn't afford to put the raptors in.
Yeah.